Helldivers just unveiled its next Warbond, Exo Experts, and what's in here and the questions about what happens when it goes live are already buzzing within our community. Now, I've got the full breakdown for you, as well as my brutally honest thoughts, so stay tuned for all of it. If you want to help support the channel, please hit subscribe. If you're on mobile, please swipe to hype the video. Let's go ahead and dive on in. Okay, out of the blue, but let's be honest, kind of expected by the Helldivers player base, we just got a trailer for the new Exo Experts Warbond. And I've, of course, got the full breakdown for you, along with my brutally honest thoughts, which I've got a lot of, but yeah, let's dive on it. So, Exo Experts is set to go live next week. That's April 28th. And since this is a premium Warbond, expect it to set you back 1,000 super credits. Now, as far as what's in this Warbond, here it is up on screen. Expect 2 new armor sets, 1 primary weapon, 1 secondary weapon, 3 stratagems, which include 2 new mechs, the new mobile white skin for your vehicles and drop pods, the Oxygenator armor passive, 2 banners, 2 capes, the Thumbs of Approval emote, and the Exosuit certified player title. I'll get into what all of these new items do, at least according to what we have here in this official PlayStation blog we received, but as I look over this player card based on what these armor sets look like and their overall descriptions, I'm guessing that these are the heavy and light variants of the new Oxygenator armors, and we should expect a Superstore offering to go live at the same time as the Warbond, again next week, probably with a medium Oxygenator armor thrown in there as well, but I'm going to add a big question mark here because we don't know that for certain. Now, if we get any new details on what's in the Superstore before next week, expect that info to appear in a follow-up video. Also, I don't know if you remember back to the Entrenched Division Warbond, but in that Warbond, we got 3 variants of the concussive padding armor passive, and they differed from a combo of explosive damage resist plus more throwables to explosive resist, gas resist, recoil reduction with sidearms, over to the Superstore variant, which had explosive resist and a bit of the extra padding passive. However, and the point I was getting to is there's nothing here in the blog mentioning different variants of this new Oxygenator passive, but one aspect of the Entrenched Division that players really seemed to like was that our choices in armor varied based on their overall classification. Now, hopefully that system continues on into Exo Experts, but for now, let's dive into the new items. First up is the new primary weapon, the SMG 203 Gallant. Now, not much is shown during the trailer, and what we do see here is all in slow-mo, maybe to mask this SMG's rate of fire, but the blog does say that this is an SMG with a high rate of fire, filling in as the Knight SMG's older brother, sacrificing mag size for increased penetration. Now, for reference, the Knight has an RPM of 1,380, which is absolutely mental. It also has really good ergonomics, 90 ballistic damage, and is a light armor pen weapon. Now, if the Knight has a base starting mag size of 50 rounds, it sounds like the Gallant's going to scale back on available ammo and possibly a little bit of RPM to add in medium armor pen, but hopefully there's also going to be a full offering of customization options, including an extended mag to give this weapon a little more sustain once fully upgraded. Sticking with the weapons, the P-33 Missile Pistol uses guided heat-propelled rounds and a lock-on feature, and for the few seconds it's shown in the trailer, we see a diver lock-on to what looks like a warrior and liquefy it with a single shot this weapon fires out before needing a reload. Now, if anything, the P-33 seems to be a scaled-back Wasp launcher, but in pocket form and only capable of, again, shooting 1 missile at a time. Range for the Wasp, though, to lock on is a wild 300 meters, and it would deliver medium armored pen on its explosions, but can reach up to AP6 when the actual projectile hits a target. So, if the Missile Pistol has that kind of range and damage output, I guess it could be interesting, although I don't know where the Missile Pistol fits into the game, especially when players already have the Grenade Pistol, which is capable of also closing bug holes. Next up is the first of the stratagems contained in Exo Experts, the MGX-42 𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏 from the footage, we see that it is called down in the same way a player would also call down and receive an EAT, meaning they arrive 2 at a time, so you can stand your ground with one and then possibly quickly pick up the second, or you could maybe share it with a friend?
Nope.
The 𝗏𝗏𝗃𝗃 is a disposable machine gun that, according to this blog, uses caseless ammunition. And if it's mentioned as a machine gun, our current MG fires at 760 RPM with 90 damage and AP3. But what is not known is how many shots the 𝗏𝗏𝗃𝗃 has before you get rid of it. Would a player pick this over, say, an actual machine gun stratagem, paired also with 𝗏𝗋s for when they need more punch? I honestly don't know. All right, now over to the mechs, and of course making a return, and it's expected from Helldivers 1, is the Lumberer, which Arrowhead leaked last week when they dropped this artwork with the old Lumberer stratagem sequence scratched out and the new sequence scratched in just below it. Now, this suit features an anti-tank cannon on its right arm and a flamethrower on its left, with the anti-tank cannon resembling the cannon from the anti-tank emplacement itself, aka the gaming chair. With this pairing, it looks like we've got the long-range pop comboed with the close-range crowd control, much like the Patriot mech in that regard. The 𝗕𝐴𝐵𝘆𝗶𝐵 breakout, though, is the complete opposite of the Lumberer, coming in with a ballistic shield and a close-range flak cannon. Now, throughout this trailer, we see clips of this mech doing what looks like a lunge attack and a bash with its shield, smashing smaller targets to bits as it stomps across the battlefield. Now, there's nothing in this blog saying what this mech's flak cannon can actually do, in terms of damage, status effects, or available ammo, but for now, we might as well concentrate on the other side of this mech, the shield. And I'm just gonna say it because I know everyone's thinking it. If this giant mech's shield is not made of the same indestructible vibranium material the automaton shield devastators benefit from, we're gonna have to speak with the team at Arrowhead. And finally, the armor sets, which include the O2 Heavy Operator and O3 Free Spirit sets, feature the Oxygenator armor passive, which according to the official PlayStation blog, listen to this, will allow a Helldiver to walk, run, and slide slightly quicker. Now, no percentages are mentioned anywhere in this official blog, and I guess we're going to have to wait and see once the Warbond is live and we can get in some testing, but faster movement speed is definitely something that could be interesting, especially if you could pair it up with the stem juice and stamina boosters. With all of that out of the way, I'd like to now ask you, my viewers, to drop your initial thoughts about what you just saw in the Exo Experts Warbond down in the comments section below. Maybe you liked it, maybe you didn't like it, plus add in any sort of details about why, because that would be appreciated. And like I said earlier on in this video, it's now time for me to lay out some thoughts on it all, and it's also time to get brutally honest. Let me first say this. I'm concerned. Let's exclude the primary, secondary, and bullet storm stratagem because those are what they are, and they could be viable and interesting pieces to add to our armories, but mechs in a Warbond? Last week I posted a video about Helldivers 2, paywalling, and that whole discussion of the multiple sides of our community, some feeling that the game does it, some saying that they don't, but here we are with what looks like our most powerful mech yet in the Lumberer, now built into a paid Warbond. I'd also like to say that this entire Exo Experts Warbond feels very randomly thrown together, right? I mean, you've got a reskin of the Knight SMG, a single missile pistol, an 𝗏𝗏style disposable machine gun call-in, 2 new mech suits, and a speed boosting armor passive. Now, the last 2 Warbonds, at least in my humble opinion, were very well put together. Redacted Regiment was all about stealth and subterfuge, and it leaned into it and it nailed that concept. Entrenched Division really leaned into the World War I themes with all of its gas and fire. And then today we see Exo Experts unveiled with its hodgepodge of wares, and I don't know, man, I'm gonna call a spade here, but mechs, strange assembly of things just kind of all thrown together. It screams monetization strictly for the sake of monetization. Especially when the player base has been begging, dare I say pleading with Arrowhead for modular mechs. Now, I ran a poll on this 2 weeks ago, and 85% of over 34,000 votes said they would be willing to give up one of our current exosuits in order to make room for mech customization. And instead, we now get 2 new suits built into a paid Warbond. I mean, this feels like Arrowhead took feedback from the wrong cross-section of players, if they took it at all, as things we keep asking for, and 𝗃𝗀𝗆 has spoken about as items they would like to bring to the game, expanded customization, in-game progression, etc. These are all mechanics that are left by the wayside when a new paid Warbond is ready to ship. Now, I know there are some of you out there that are going to say, but Buzz, Arrowhead's entitled to and needs to make money. And listen, man, I get all that. Valid point and point taken. And I, for one, am one that will say, hey, Arrowhead, kudos to you, man. You made your bread and good for you. But there's ways to do this thing right, and there's ways to do this not so right. And ignoring what the overwhelming player feedback is telling you, and instead ignoring it and giving them still very restrictive and paid content in its place is not the right call. You're not reading the room. Now, maybe there's a very small way forward if, say, the Lumberer was tied to a galactic campaign, and with that, we Helldiver players unlocked for free modular mech mechanics in the ship's hangar, and then, I don't know, you could put the breakthrough mech in a Warbond. Again, maybe that works, but at this point, we still haven't even spoken about the huge elephant in the room, as if mechs in a Warbond wasn't enough. That being, who's going to buy Exo Experts knowing that just before we went to Cyberstand, Arrowhead buffed all incoming durable damage by insane amounts versus our armored vehicles? Hey guys, I just bought the Lumberer only to lose it less than 20 seconds later because it has paper-thin armor, is not going to earn any goodwill with the Helldiver player base. Unless, hear me out, on the same day Arrowhead releases Exo Experts, they also come in and reverse all those patches that have weakened the mechs into essentially unusable pieces of equipment. Or, another scary thought here, what if they make these new mechs stronger than our current Patriot and Emancipator variants with better armor and more durability? Now, I'm not saying that's going to happen, but could you imagine that shit show? So, yeah, I mean, I was complimentary of Redacted Regiment. It's not my playstyle, but they did it well. And, of course, Entrenched Division for what they brought to the game and how they delivered on that fantasy. Exo Experts, though, at least for me, is the complete opposite. It takes all the overwhelming feedback from the player base wanting mech customization and does the exact opposite by now charging them for 2 new mechs and then locking them inside a Warbond. Arrowhead, when you nail it, I tell you so, but the way this is packaged feels like nothing but a tasteless cash grab. And like I said in my last video when I talked about paywalling, of course, I know you can go in and farm for super credits, but that's not the heart of the issue here. We keep getting more and more stuff stuffed into our armories that we don't use, while the customization and deep engagement-driven in-game systems are left out or just completely unfinished. This isn't about spending money. It's the point that new, monetized content is superseding good development. And instead of the studio going back in and finishing items that they started or implementing items they said they wanted and they know we want, we're instead hit with this steady barrage of new and shiny paid things that only temporarily address large voids left in the game. But yeah, that's just my 2 cents. And here's where I turn to you, my viewers, for your valuable feedback. Please drop a comment about the Warbond, mechs, monetization, and whatever the hell else you'd like to see added to the game in the comment section below, as I'm genuinely interested in your feedback. Also, I know this discussion has the potential to get just a little bit spicy, and I kindly ask you to keep it civil. Please hit subscribe and ring the notifications bell to receive my future upload alerts. If you're on mobile, please swipe to hype this video. And before I go, thank you goes out to all of our hardcore channel members. Until the next one, this is Lieutenant 𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏